Hunters, the market just reset over the weekend. Stocks are opening this week a little bit higher than last week, but they're still within a range. Crypto is coiling, in my opinion, and setting up for one of the most explosive moves in the last 2 months or so. And I expect there to be still some sector rotation going into the Fed interest rate decision later on this week. What I have on my radar are a mixture of stocks and cryptos that I'm monitoring right now because of the coiling, because of the range in market. We have potential breakouts pre-Fed interest rate decisions. But first of all, I want to cover a quick market snapshot here. And the first thing I want to cover are the indexes. Then we want to go into yields, the dollar, and crypto. Right, so here we have a heat map of Friday and what happened on Friday. We saw a bit of a sell-off in the broader markets. Over the week or during the week, we saw an overall good performance for the markets. Even though it was ranging, we saw some top names like WMT, Tesla, two trades that I had myself, and some other big names like Meta, Oracle, bouncing from, I think it was around the 200 SMA levels. And we're now seeing potentially a good rotation back into tech, where we've seen some tech names moving well. Tesla is still lagging behind a little bit, and Apple, but we have some other names here moving well, such as TXN, Intel, which is another trade that I made last week. So overall, quite good. If you look at the services sector here, Palantir moving quite well. Salesforce doing quite well as well. This was one of my previous trades with Adobe, but they sold off in November and hit my stop losses and break-even zones I'd set up. So I was unable to re-enter these trades, but I'm still monitoring them for a re-entry. So I think tech will probably pick up quite soon from what I can see here. And it's looking quite nice. Now, what I want to look at is the charts. I want to monitor now the charts quickly. We'll move into the indexes. So we can have a look at the S&P 500. S&P 500 range in here, but moving slightly higher. Over the weekend, I do a podcast for one of my other channels, and I drew this potential scenario where, look, we can go back down, then build up structure going into the end of the year, then come back down and build on this distribution level. The bullish scenario is obvious. We continue ticking up higher, and we move all the way into 7.1K in the next 2 weeks pre-Christmas. I think there'll be a bit of a Christmas sell-off. I don't think there's going to be a Santa Claus rally this year. Maybe a bit too soon to say, to be honest. But for me, it's looking like we might move earlier than Christmas and then sell off in the latter part of the year, similar to last year, actually, where we sold off a little bit going into the last week of December. If we do get a move to 7.1K, it is 3.6% that we can gain from the current position. I've entered around this zone and this zone here, which is a gain of 6%. I'll be looking to beat the market by 3 times. At the moment, I'm beating the S&P 500 by 5 times. So last week I made 5.13%, while the S&P 500 made 0.3%. I shared this in my previous video, which was shared yesterday, where I broke down why I gained 5.1% last week and outperformed the markets. Not only did I outperform them last week, I've been outperforming them the whole year. And just plug in here really quickly. If you guys want to learn how I do that and how I'm able to make 70, 80% this year in the stock market, while the markets only produce around 10 to 15%, you can go and join my Discord group. The link is below in the description of the video. It's only £15 a month currently, as we are looking to scale the group and build further services. At the moment, you're going to get my watch list every day, handpicked 4, 5, 10 ideas, depending on how many ideas I have that day. You're going to get one live stream on the weekend where I'm screening ideas on the Sunday. You're also going to get daily market analysis and macro analysis. So when the Fed interest rate decision comes out, or even before then, I'll provide you guys with my thoughts and analysis there. You're going to get a lot of this stuff here on YouTube, but you're going to get a little bit more information to use and trade every day on Discord. Right, so let's get back into the analysis of the indexes. NASDAQ, very, very similar here. The Russell 2000 is where I want to be focusing in the next few weeks if we do get an uptick. I still feel like we can get a bit of a dip before we move up higher. The VIX is moving up higher today as volatility increases, leading into the Fed interest rate decision. And once we get some resistance around this zone, in my opinion, then we can come back down to around that 14, 13 level. And that would give us a push and a little bit more security and less fear in the markets. Let's see what happens leading up to the 10th. I have made a note of that date on my chart, mainly on my crypto chart, showing that it could easily be a trigger point for a flip in the market. It's this point here. If we can get a little bit of a dip before that, it would actually be good for the market, because it would be a buy the dip opportunity for a lot of traders around this 6.7K. And then going into the day, we can get some gains and then hopefully some follow through with some good news. Everybody's expecting interest rates to be reduced to by 0.5%. We'll have to see. I think it might be a nothing burger, right? We have Jerome Powell already explaining as to why there is a split in the Federal Reserve on this. Right, so leaders like NVIDIA, I mentioned they're not really performing that well, but you saw there on the heat map that we've had other names doing well. We've had, as you can see here, NVIDIA is looking like it's on the verge of breaking out. Semiconductors haven't been performing that well. I'm monitoring AMD. I like AMD in this situation for a breakout and a move higher. I'm monitoring AMD, have an alert in place for potential move up higher. I also, SMCI is looking quite nice. It's one of my favorite stocks this year. I've made a lot of money, a lot of gains with SMCI this year. It's not everybody's favorite, but for me, it's been fantastic. We've been able to trade it in January here. Then we traded it in May all the way up, 2 trades. And then we traded it again in September. And then with this dip, we can now trade it again one more time going into the end of the year. Hopefully, we get the setup, of course. I am in no rush to buy here. I tend to let these stocks set up perfectly and then time that momentum. So tech is doing pretty well. I explained some of the other sectors that are doing well as well. Tesla, etc. We saw everything there. In terms of where I think the market will go, one of the decisive factors is the US 10Y. The US 10Y. We had and I mentioned this in the video yesterday and last week, we have a head and shoulders inverted here, and we have a potential breakout. The real fear should have kicked in around this 28th, 29th, 1st of December moment. Yes, the yields are going up, but the markets are also grinding up. And it's a matter of, will it find resistance here, come back down, be more risk on in the markets, and we see better gains in stocks while... So what's happening is yields are gaining, stocks are consolidating. Now, if yields are dropping, stocks will gain, right? I think you understand the logic here. And however, if yields keep on gaining, it means that investors are looking for security and it's risk on. Again, this move to 4.3 will drag the market down, could drag the S&P back to that 6.7K level that I've mentioned in my previous videos, as well as I'm mentioning here now in this video. So we have to be very, very careful. The dollar as well is worth monitoring. I'm going to quickly cover the dollar here. The dollar looks like it wants to move a tiny bit higher, find some resistance, and then come back down. So we have to see how it moves here right now. Okay, so that's the dollar. Consumer stocks seem to be weakening, but when I'm looking at some of my portfolio plays, they're doing pretty well. So if you're looking at Lululemon, for example, retail moving quite well. Probably seasonality here. One of my trades. I initially traded it here, and I probably posted it on social media before. You've seen it in one of my videos where I mentioned and reels where I mentioned Lululemon looking pretty good. It was, I think, on this day here, and then it sold off and ended up selling for around break even. Then we've re-entered here after further consolidation. So it looks fantastic. In my opinion, the setup here is perfect because we have a nice support, tightening price action, breakout, entry. Now we are in a trend. We're already in profit, and we can ride this for however long this trend continues. Other thing I want to cover is crypto. Quickly cover some crypto here. I don't want to be making this video too long. I usually want to make it around 10 minutes, but we're dragging on here a little bit. Crypto looks like it's still setting up. I'm looking at this level around 93.94, maybe for a breakout. And that could be a key trigger point for the move to 101, 102. And if we move to 101, 102, then we will find some resistance for sure. But if I can enter a little bit better, time the momentum play, and hopefully avoid a dip, which I think also it's a 50-50 here, really. A dip could also happen. Breakout comes back down as a dip. This is why I'm not rushing. I would like this breakout come back up here. Then even if it dips, we can move stop losses around break even and de-risk the trade. That's what I'm looking for here. Ethereum looks slightly better. I've mentioned it here before that if it breaks this level, then we have one final resistance at 3.3, and then we can move up higher, in my opinion, back to 3.7, 3.8, and then that's where we might find significant resistance. And but we would be in the money there. Ideal scenario for me would be actually a dip here, back down to these levels, consolidating, and then breaking out. But I'm happy to take the trade around this level as well. So we're getting ready for positioning ourselves in some of these cryptos. And again, if you want to go and see what cryptos I'm watching and potentially trading every day, as well as my analysis throughout the day on cryptos and stocks, you have the Discord group. The link is in the description of this video. So that's crypto, coiling, compressing, tightening, getting ready for that big move. What I also want to cover now is what I will be looking for as a trader today. So on my radar, Bitcoin, Ethereum for sure. I also have AAVE in crypto. I'm monitoring this for a breakout here. I like Chili's, CHZ for that breakout as well here. Really like this level for a momentum push and a start of a trend. There are other names that I'm monitoring. These are all going to be in the Discord group, so you can go and join. But these three, I think, are worth monitoring in the next few days for these breakouts. And the risk-reward ratios are pretty good, in my opinion, because you can go a little bit tighter on these stop losses. And if we break out, we get 1 to 4 on Chili's. We get, I think it's 1 to, let's have a look at, where's AAV? really quickly here. AAVE. If we get that breakout, again, because of the tight price action, the stop loss will be tight. We can get 1 to 6 on this one. And then we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, in my opinion. If we break the 100 level and then and those key resistance levels. But with these ones, I'll probably be looking for more security around this level. We're looking at 1 to 2. A real trend will give us a 1 to 4. I'm usually not looking at risk rewards with Bitcoin and Ethereum because I actually go full size and have separate accounts for each one, and I just go 100% into the trade. So yeah, it's a different play for these two. I swing them fully sized basically. Same thing here with Ethereum. If it goes up to 3.8, 1 to 4. So it looks quite nice and quite ready for these moves. With stocks, I shared a list yesterday after the live stream with my Novice Hunters group, which is only £15 a month. And they were able to see some of my ideas. But what I really like this week is, again, for breakouts. And we're kind of late on Salesforce and a few other ones. But I like Alibaba. I'll show you. Alibaba tightening here while Baidu has moved. This was one of my previous Chinese trades, Chinese stocks I traded. And it's moved a lot. And I was looking for this moment here, but it opened up around here, you see. So there was a gap. Unfortunately, my strategy isn't suited to finding these opportunities because if the market opens here, then I'm not going to trade it because the risk-reward ratio changes. Clear example here of the risk-reward. I'll just show you. Look, if we got to trade it around this level, even if we got a bit delayed here, we would now be up 1 to 2, and the risk-reward to this zone would be 1 to 2.8. Now, if we enter here, because you have such a high risk that we could come back down to this level, you can't really go too tight on the stop loss. So you would have to leave a factor in the volatility and the spikiness of this, and you would only be looking at 1 to 0.7 on this trade to this level here. So big difference. And then whether we move up here 1 to 3, but if we traded it here, it would be a 1 to 10. Huge, huge difference. This is the reason why I monitor risk-reward ratios very, very carefully, and I do a deep analysis here where the zone should be with the stop losses and so on. This is just an example that I'm showing you. So, but Alibaba looks quite good. AMD could move quite well. Then we have all these crypto plays like BMNR, which I think could break out. SBET as well. They have high Ethereum reserves. So Ethereum is moving well. This should move well. And we're on the verge here, really, of a breakout on this one, in my opinion. We can move all the way up to 16.8. Other names, I'd say AAVE looks quite nice for that continuation or breakout play here from this zone into the 229 area. These are some ideas. There will be other ideas in the Discord group that I think will be of value to any trader of any sort of experience. If you have any experience, you're actually going to find it more useful because you'll be able to see just my watch list and you'll be able to see why setups are the way that they are, and you can take advantage of them. Okay, that's it. I also like US oil. So we'll do quickly at US oil. I think it's down today, but I think it's not too bad here. If it holds support, we can move up higher. I would like this to hold support here. I don't want it to get back into this level. I want it to hold support and then come back up in the next few days. So very, very good setup here. We just needs to hold this level around 59.3, 59.2, and then we can break up and go above. Okay, that's it. Precious metals are slightly down. I'm monitoring that as well because I have a few trades in precious metals. portfolio looks pretty good. I covered the portfolio in the previous video, which is yesterday's video, which is my weekly hunt. I basically do a performance review. I performed 5.13% in a week. It's definitely worth watching because you get to see my what I did right, what I did wrong, the mistakes, how I'm correcting them for the next week, and what I'm looking at for the following week as well, in terms of portfolio management and things like that. It's very insightful for anybody that's looking to learn and is a beginner, but also quite useful for anybody that is a pro trader that just wants to get extra information and see what other traders are looking at. This videos, these daily hunts are also useful for anybody with any level of experience because it's free ideas in reality. So if you guys enjoyed this video, that leads me into the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed this video, go and subscribe, like, comment. I would like to hear from you guys what you think about the markets right now leading up to the Fed interest rate decision. I will be covering the interest rate decision tomorrow and then on Wednesday when it happens. And if you're looking for extra value and you enjoyed this and you found some value here, the Discord group is useful, but you also have all of my other social medias. I do live streams on TikTok, occasionally on X, and I am looking to expand this channel into videos with particular themes. The next video that I'm going to be doing is if I was to start trading again from the beginning in 2026, what would I do, right? It'll be a video about what I will be doing if I was to start trading again, and where I would be looking and what type of strategy I'll develop, and so on and so on. That video will come out soon. I'm just preparing it. Some very, very useful content will come out on this channel. So make sure you subscribe and I'll see you tomorrow.